Lady Charmaine, and my guest today is an Emmy Award-winning actor who has starred in over 70 films, such as The Brother from Another Planet, Terminator 2, Judgment Day, and Ali. But he's here today to talk about his TV One Unsung episode, The Story of Joe Morton. And we all know him as the infamous father of Olivia Pope on Scandal, but he's here today to talk about his Unsung Hollywood episode. Help me welcome Mr. Joe Morton to the show. Welcome.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here.
Yet, I followed your career for such a long time, and especially from The Brother from Another Planet, and to see how much your career has grown. And I did not realize that you had been in over 70 films. I'm not sure if a lot of people really know that, how long your career has been and all the things that you have done. And I know that watching Unsung Hollywood, we're all going to find out the story of Joe Morton. Were you surprised when you got that call to do Unsung Hollywood?
I was very much surprised and very honored. This is also their premiere, so they're making it sort of even that much more important, which is just lovely. It's always wonderful when not only your peers, but your people in this case, sort of turn around and say, we admire the work that you've done so much that we'd like to actually chronicle it and for the public to see, which I can't be more grateful for. So, yes, I thank Unsung for being so generous.
It's amazing how some people, I was talking to a gentleman who's been in the business a long time, and I said, they should do an unsung story on you. And he was like, no, he said, Unsung kind of ruined your careers. And I'm like, that's my favorite show on television. What do you mean? And it's amazing how you put it and how you were so honored. And I'm so glad that you said that, because it's one of my favorite shows. And I'm so glad that I get to learn a lot about you on Wednesday. So thank you for sharing your story. I wanted to say that first off.
Well, it's my pleasure. Thank you.
And many people don't know. I want to talk to you about this because you have been in theater. You started off in Broadway and Hair, and then you were in Salvation, and then also you were nominated for a Tony for Raisin, and you are now doing a one-man play about Dick Gregory. Tell us about that.
The play is called Turn Me Loose. It is about Dick Gregory's life. The conflict in the play, if you will, is about a man who on one hand, looks like he's going to become very famous and very wealthy, and then is introduced to the civil rights movement of the 60s and has to make a decision between whether he wants to be rich and famous or whether he wants to be an activist. Along that road, you'll hear Dick say all kinds of things, talking about everything from racial politics to politics in general, to nutrition, to his own personal life, and mostly he'll talk about his travails down in the South, because he got pulled into the civil rights movement by Medgar Evers, who later became his best friend. And in fact, the name of the play, Turn Me Loose, are the last three words that Medgar spoke before he died.
So what inspired you to do this play?
Well, the life of Dick Gregory. I mean, if somebody walked up to me, as they did, and said, would you like to do this? I mean, I knew who Dick was. I'd read his biography years before. We'd met him. I'd met him many, many years before. Dick Gregory was one of those, if not the one, who broke the color line in terms of comedy on television. He tells a story that he used to watch Jack Paar all the time and really liked the Jack Paar show until someone told him, well, don't you realize that when Jack Paar has a black comedian come onto the show, that he never sits on the couch with Jack Paar, that he just does his routine and then they shoo him off, as Dick Gregory would say, like flies off a windowsill. So when he was offered the Jack Paar show, he actually turned it down because he knew he wouldn't be allowed to speak to the audience just as himself. Until finally Jack Paar relented and said, all right, you can sit on the couch, and then he went on the show. And that literally broke the color line for comedians, black comedians, on television. I mean, he was the predecessor before Richard Pryor and Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock, who all look up to him as sort of the leader of that kind of comedy.
That is amazing. Thank you so much for telling that story as well, because I didn't know that part of his life, a part of his story. So I know that's going to be great. Let us know where we can go and see it.
We will open at the beginning of May in New York.
Awesome. And I want to talk to you about being the most infamous father on television. This role, I mean, just to see you every Thursday. How did you get into this role, number one? Because to go that deep, to be a father that even thinks about even wanting to kill his daughter or do some type of harm, I want to know, how did you get into this role and, to really bring that role to life on television and be believable, number one?
Well, I mean, first of all, I don't. He's never thought of killing his daughter. He will scare her. He will punish her. He will do all kinds of things that fathers do with their daughters. But he loves his daughter and would never think of killing her.
Okay.
He might kill someone that she loves, but not her herself.
Okay.
And the way in is the way in to almost any character I might play, but specifically with this one. When you play a villain, you never play a villain like he's doing something evil. You play a villain as if that person believes, as Papa Pope does, that what he's doing will make not only the world, but his world a better place. So all of what he does is positive. And if you look at that, if you look at what he does from that point of view, you can get as deep as you want, because everything you're doing in your mind is for the better good of the better whole, if you will.
How did you land this role?
How did I get the role?
Yes.
I actually came out to L.A. A few years back. It was the end of their season 2 for pilot season. I hadn't seen the show. I knew about the show. Of course, I knew about Terry Washington and started watching Scandal on Netflix. And when I saw the show, fell in love with it, thought the writing was terrific, thought the directing was amazing, thought the way they even shot the show was really wonderful, something I hadn't seen before. And thought to myself, wouldn't it be fabulous if I could figure out a way to get onto the show just to, for a couple of episodes maybe. And before I even had an opportunity to talk to my agents and managers about doing just that, I got a call from them saying, we got a call from ABC saying they'd like to talk to you about going on Scandal. And when the producer from Scandal called to talk to me, he basically got me by saying, you have to hold on to a secret for the last 6 episodes of season 2, and the secret was, in fact, that I was Olivia's dad. But nobody knew no one knew that secret. Terry didn't know. None of the other actors knew. Only 1 or 2 of the directors knew. So it really was a secret I had to keep. So that we finally got the final script of that season. The last 2 lines of that script was, "Hello, Olivia, Dad." So it was. That's how I got the role. I had to keep that secret, and here I am.
It's amazing how you had that desire to be on that show, and then they came looking for you. It kind of reminds me of Oprah, how she wanted to be in The Color Purple, and then they ended up finding her. And it's amazing how you can have such a strong desire, and it's put out there, and nobody knows, and then it's drawn to you, and you're drawn to each other because it's such a perfect fit for you.
I think it happens that way sometimes. I think in life, sometimes you put out a feeling, and even as you say before, you've had a moment to speak on that feeling. There is something out there in the world that responds to it, and things begin to happen. It's the beauty of being in this world, I suppose.
Yes. Now, I want to know, lastly, what do you love most about playing this role?
What do I love? Well, I get to work with Terry Washington, number 1. I get to work with Shonda Rhimes, number 2, and I get to work with this incredible cast. And I guess finally, from a selfish point of view, they write me these wonderful, glorious monologues, which is very unusual for television. Television, like any other visual media, usually is all about the picture, not about the words. And whereas in this case, in Scandal, it's very much about the words. And in my case, specifically, I've been given some incredible monologues over the last few seasons that just make it a joy for me. So all of those are the reasons why I love doing this part.
Well, Joe, I want to say thank you so much for coming on the show. And I want to remind the audience to make sure that you tune in to the premiere of Unsung Hollywood, the story of Joe Morton, airing Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Remember, he is Olivia Pope's father, and we're going to learn all about him. Again, thank you so much, Joe, and have a great day.
You too. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Lady Charmaine.